then when we don't work the 70-hour weeks and we're not hustling to make 7 million figures, all of a sudden we are less than business owners, to which I think we're here to say bullshit.
Welcome to Purposeful Podcasting. I'm Wendy.
And I'm Krystal. This podcast is meant to share how we and other entrepreneurs bring together purpose and passion to leverage profit in our businesses.
We are shining a light on adventure-loving, purpose-driven, action-minded, authentic, and rebellious entrepreneurs.
Just like us.
So join us as we talk about business and life and everything in between.
Welcome back, everybody, to this week's episode of Purposeful Podcasting. I am Krystal, and I am here with Wendy.
Hi.
And this week, we're going to talk about professionals versus hobbyists. This is something that we have joked about behind the scenes for years and years, since we've started working together, because we used to be in a space where the term hobbyist was thrown around like a dirty word. Like, are you a hobbyist?
Yes.
Meaning, are you just somebody who doesn't take your business seriously? I think it was the context in which this word was originally used with us. But I think when you're an online business owner, I think this is an interesting way. There's an interesting way of looking at these, because so many of us go into being an online business owner because we want freedom and flexibility to either work part-time or, work around other priorities that we have in our lives. And then when we don't work the 70-hour weeks and we're not hustling to make 7 million figures, all of a sudden we are less than business owners, to which I think we're here to say bullshit.
That is exactly, I could not have said it better. Really? I could not.
Well, I doubt that, but I think that, so professional versus hobbyist, Wendy, what do you think when these debates come to mind?
Initially, because there were coaches that would, I would say, lash out at anyone who they thought was a hobbyist. And I put that in air quotes, because I think it was meant that the harder and probably the smarter you work, the more money you make, which had, other implications for the coaches as well. I think you really need to look at yourself and say, and also a hobbyist can be very professional. So I think that that's sort of, I'm going to say an insult, because, well, okay. Yeah, a hobbyist could very much be professional. I think it's a matter of what's your priority?
Mm-hmm.
What is and I've always looked at it as empire versus lifestyle.
Which I love that separation.
Yeah.
So much better.
You could still be a professional lifestyle or a hobbyist. You could still be a professional lifestyle or a hobbyist lifestyle, but I think there's an expectation that if you are, this empire, this professional, that it really is, I think it's an expectation that profit is the key. Profit is king. That everything that you do in how you operate and how you function. And I think there are different ways that someone who is more of a lifestyle functions than someone who's an empire. But I think it's all about profit and ultimately scaling. And that means you're willing to take risks and commit resources to whatever your business is. That I don't really think someone who's defined as I think of a hobby, I think of as, something you're passionate about, something you're interested in, something that brings you great joy. And profit doesn't have to be and sometimes profit is not even the primary goal there. And it may not even be the number one priority in your life.
Well, because I know a lot of people who are hustling and who are working full time and are making no profit, but they keep their nose to the grinder and keep spinning their wheels because they're given this thing, well, if you just work hard, if you just put more hours in.
Mhm.
And the reality of it is that there are so many other factors that go into play when it comes to building a profitable business. Okay.
Oh, exactly. Exactly.
And so when we think about, and so then people throw around the term in the online space of, oh, well, you're just a hobbyist, meaning you're not making a lot of money and you're not making any money doing this and you're investing a lot of money into something, but you're just not taking this seriously enough. And that's why you are not turning the profit that we're looking for. And I, I struggle with that concept because I know a lot of people who really are trying hard and really are working hard, but we're giving people the wrong tools in their toolbox to make that other thing work. We're missing a really big piece of that puzzle. And it does not have anything to do with time put into your business or how hard you're working or how hard you want it, and everything to do with all these other factors that we're not talking about.
So I think there's like two pieces of this as well. There's someone who truly is a hobbyist, which means, it could be someone who does woodwork. That's their passion. And they sell their things on the side. So say a crafty person is a perfect example of a hobbyist, or even someone who loves to travel and plans group travel experiences for, say, their family once a year, and then ends up making commission and some money on it as well, or can do that and expand it and just do things for friends. There's also people I know who, do, say, they're editors, or copywriters, things of that nature. They have a passion. They're hobbyists because this is not their number one priority.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a huge difference, that when people talk about, well, just because you're not turning a profit, you're a hobbyist, I think is really pejorative and really pisses me off, because there's different factors that make you, that differentiate between, defined as, say, a professional and a hobbyist. There's the issue of mindset. Someone who's deemed a professional, their really big thing is profit. That is generally their primary goal. I mean, it may be that they want to have impact, but they want to turn a profit, whereas that may not be the case for a hobbyist. They may not have to have these really, they're not chasing financial goals. There's also a commitment. I think of myself, I mean, I guess technically, am I defined as a hobbyist? I mean,
no.
But I would actually be okay with that, in that my primarily goal for this really is more impact than I'm chasing a financial gain. And also, I have certain priorities that come first. My commitment is really to my family, and we talk about this all the time. Whereas, if I were truly, I guess, deemed a professional, I'd be working long hours, making lots of sacrifices, taking lots of calculated risks, all that stuff. Sorry, Krystal, I'm just not going to do that.
Off with her head. Well,
And
but see, I would push back though to say, I don't think you're a hobbyist. And not to say that there's anything wrong with hobbyists, because I think that you created, I think that you just gave a lot of great examples of, what a difference between maybe a hobbyist and professional is. But I think that we are, by definition, lifestyle entrepreneurs. I think that so earlier we gave the thing of, lifestyle entrepreneur versus empire. So there's two schools of thought here. There are people who would like to run a 7-figure business. They want to operate a large team. You want to drive a bus. Okay. You have very, very big, audacious, ambitious goals, and you want to build an empire. We have a lot of people on our Square Squad and other people we work with whom we love. They want to build an empire. We look at that and go, nah, not for us. And
Right, exactly.
we want to build a lifestyle business. What does that mean? And I think this is the big difference between hobbyist and professional. And the difference maybe between a lifestyle business and somebody who wants to just do this as a hobby. I want a lifestyle business. I do not want it to be full-time. It needs to work around personal priorities that you and I both have and share. But and here's the difference. I like the fact that our business turns a profit. I like the fact that our business pays us, not an exorbitant amount, but pays enough to we keep all the lights on. We have just enough going, and it scales just enough steadily, slowly but steadily, that I can see where this is going. Because if this was just truly going to be just a hobby for us, there's a lot of our business aspects that we would just shut down entirely. And we would probably just podcast. The fact of the matter is that we have then just created a business model very intentionally. And I think this is the difference between a professional and a hobbyist. Professionals, whether you want to be a professional lifestyle entrepreneur or a professional empire owner, really do put careful thought behind the business model, behind the runway, behind those skin in the game things, and I think we are very strategic long term when it comes to these things. And so that's why I push back and think this is not a hobby. I mean, we have a tremendous amount of fun doing this, but I do think that as online business owners, we really do strive for the big picture of things, and we're looking at a lot of different aspects of things. Whereas the guy that's just doing carpentry in his thing, he's not really thinking about like the licensing implications and paying in his taxes and how many shows is he going to set up this month to make a certain amount of dollars. No, he's really just enjoying the process and then taking what little bit he can. And if he breaks even, that's great.
I think my feeling is that these are conscious choices that people make. And I think it's a matter of whatever works for you. I think my biggest problem has always been it's putting someone into a box because it doesn't check off doesn't check off a preconceived box that someone else thinks, everyone should want to make a profit. We are not the Red Cross. And generally, hobbyist at some point has to say, I have to at least break even, that sort of thing. My feeling is that, labels are labels. And I just don't like when there's like, again, this pejorative tone about, well, you're a hobbyist. It really comes down to what do you need? What do you want? What are your goals? What are your aspirations? What is your, what kind of a commitment can you make of time and resources and all of that? And, looking at it through that lens or those lenses, then you're like, okay, do I have the commitment to be an empire or a desire to be an empire or whatever it is that you want to do? I just think that it's not fair to stick a label on someone and have it have a negative connotation because someone is pursuing, as long as it legitimately is the way, what they want. If someone truly is labeled as a hobbyist and legitimately they want to make the choice between empire and lifestyle, then hey, I really think they probably should give us a call because we can help them do that.
Oh, 100%. In fact, that's kind of our specialty, is to help take those things and do it. And by the way, guys, take your business from a hobbyist. So when I say hobbyist, like, again, not a shameful way, but in a, hey,
no,
I have this thing that I really like. I'm just not understanding all the other business aspects of it to make the profit that I want to make. But I also don't want to put in more hours than what I'm putting in. Like, that's when you should give us a call, because that is our bread and butter. That is 100% our specialty.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing that has irked me over the years in hearing hobbyist is it has been used as a tool to shame people into being better for their own gain. People would say, you don't take this seriously enough, you're just a hobbyist. And we had a lot of coaches do that to us in coaching programs we were a part of. And that just used to irk me, because usually when that person was getting whatever that whoever that comment was getting directed to, you could see them physically shrink. They just felt it's a matter of making somebody else feel small, so then you can feel superior to make them so that they will come to you for more coaching or more help or more things. And that just irritates the shit out of me for a lot of different reasons, because one, people that use shaming as a tool to motivate is the lowest of the low. It's also just chicken shit and cheap fodder, but it's also at the end not helpful, because it's not, again, these people that were being labeled as hobbyists, your business isn't making money because you're just a hobbyist, you're not taking it seriously enough. Well, no, they were all taking it very, very seriously. They were just missing the tools. And I think that if that person had been a better coach, they would have identified the tools they were missing instead of using the shame. But I think that coach lacked tools as well. In hindsight, that coach lacked a lot of tools to be helpful in that situation. And I know that's something we strive to do in our coaching practice, is just to look at businesses and not shame people for not making money, but to really just kind of identify, I mean, I think these are the problems you're having, and I think these are how we can tweak or change things. But yeah, I think it is holistic, and it is looking at the big picture of things.
Well, I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. With that, what do you all think? You know, what are your passions and interests to turn into, you know, businesses that, what are your interests? So I'd love to know.
Yeah, same.
Good.
And until next week, guys, we will talk soon. I hope you enjoyed this episode. We will see you next week. Bye.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a rating.
But only if you liked it. Otherwise, just keep it to yourself.
You can learn more about purposeful podcasting on our website at serendipitousrebel.com.
And if you have topics you'd like to hear about, be sure to submit them on our website or DM us on social media.